As you've hinted, you have more extreme theories, which are clearly also part of your motivation. So what are your theories about what happened? If it wasn't what we all believe happened, what do you think happened? I believe Osama bin Laden arranged for a bunch of his al-Qaeda terrorists to train to be pilots, to hijack planes and crash them into the Twin Towers and bring them down and kill thousands of people. And I believe that what happened afterwards in terms of the war in Afghanistan and then the war in Iraq were a consequence. No doubt there were neocons that were very happy to go and have those wars, but I absolutely...
And you think the CIA knew nothing about it? Neither did Mossad. They just had no idea that the guy that they armed was going to fly some planes into like the Twin Towers. You don't think they knew? You think they maybe had no idea? Okay.
We cannot fathom for 1 second that this was any kind of inside job. So is your theory that there were people who did this deliberately so they could then have the excuse to go to war?
That's part of it, yeah. Within weeks of the event, thousands upon thousands of architects and physicists had come out of the woodwork and stated entirely clearly, and I'm absolutely certain that they were correct, that Building 1 and Building 2 and Building 7 of the World Trade Center in southern New York City fell as controlled demolitions. Now, who planted the explosives to control the demolition? And nobody with an IQ above room temperature disputes this, but it has never been allowed to be heard in a court of law.
Well, actually, loads of people have disputed it. Come on, these are not new theories. They've been espoused.
You disputed this. People like you would dispute it, but you do. You go along with the empire.
The buildings felt... No, I just think it's entirely logical. The buildings around the World Trade Center obviously came down because of the destruction of the World Trade Center.
Piers, as usual, you're just 100% wrong. Let's talk about something else. Let's talk about, the football or something, because this is nonsense. Those buildings came down by controlled demolition. We all know it. You can argue against it as much as you want.
Who planted the explosives?
We don't know. That's what we want to find out.
Hazard a guess.
No, I'm not going to hazard a guess. I have no evidence.
Some random people. So let's take your theory that random people who you're not prepared to name planted explosives to bring down the Twin Towers and buildings around it as an excuse to go to war in Afghanistan, Iraq, and who knows where else, right? Who could it be? I mean, let's just theorize, let's game this out, right? Who would do that? And by the way, how many people...
Is this Pierce's argument, like, against looking into it and finding out if these inconsistencies? Like, the argument is, who would do it? Oh, if you can't tell me who did it, we don't even look into it then. How about you just explain the inconsistencies and we look into those and we'll find out who did it maybe. Like, if you go into it already thinking something like that, then you're kind of shooting for that. So that's what he's not understanding here. Doing more investigation is not this. You don't have to know who did it before you start the investigation. That's actually backwards to how it works. You start the investigation to find out who did the crime. That's just how it always worked in my experience.
People would have to know, and how did they keep it quiet?
A lot of people would have to know, is my guess. And they've kept it quiet by employing people like you to spread their propaganda over the mainstream media, like you're doing today. But that's okay. We're used to that.
I'm just asking you for any facts. Where are the facts?
Well, are you blind?
I know I'm the loony here. So let's assume I'm the lunatic with mad ideas. Let's assume that I think a bunch of hijackers crashed 2 planes into the World Trade Center that precipitated a number of buildings crashing down. That's my theory. If your theory is that someone planted explosives to do all this, my question is, who was it and why?
And my question is, how is it that you can't understand the simple fact that Matt and I are on your TV show because we would like there to be an investigation into this, started by the Attorney General in the UK, accepting that he is not above the law, and by the Supreme Court in the UK saying that Matt Campbell has a right to know why and how his brother died.
100%. But you have gone on record with Jimmy
This is so frustrating to me because this is the same mentality that'll say, I don't think anything happened on Epstein Island. Show me your evidence. Well, motherfucker, how about we finish the investigation and then I can show you some evidence? But whenever they keep hiding it, it's really hard to have like physical evidence to hand you that the government's covering up. Like they don't even want to investigate any further. Just, hey, enough seen, move along. And that's like slave mentality to me. Like, I don't need you. I don't need a confession before I can figure out what's going on. I have a little common sense that I can, kind of fashion an idea together and then we'll just investigate and see if that's what happened. But they're afraid of investigations because they know what it leads to. They know it's going to lead to some really bad shit. So this is all fucking theater for me.
As saying that it was the American government that were behind it. So is that what you believe?
Do you know, that's one possibility. It could have been the American government. Why don't we have an investigation, Piers, to find out? That's all.
So,
Matt and I
but you
want the idea? Let me finish.
No, you let me finish.
No, you hang on. Don't shout me down. You always try and do that.
You're the one shouting.
Piers, I want to ask you a question. Are you against there being an inquest?
No.
Good. There we are. That's the end of this program.
No, it's
Thank
not.
You very much.
It's not
Piers
because
Morgan says
no,
yes.
It's not. No, it's not. It's not. I'm never against any inquest. I absolutely understand why Matt wants answers to questions he believes remain unanswered. My question is about your motivation in bankrolling.
This sounds like a familiar argument to me. We need to debate your motivations, not what's actually going to be looked into. We need to debate your motivations because it might be anti-Semitic that you want this investigated. That's why we need to know your motivations, just to make sure there's no anti-Semitism.
His case, because I believe that unlike Matt, you do have people you blame. You've gone on record as blaming potentially the American government, stroke CIA. I think that's what you believe happened. And also, who else could it possibly be if the motivation was to go to war, for the Americans to go to war with Afghanistan, Iraq, and so on? It obviously would have to be an inside job by the American government.
And who would that benefit? Who would it benefit in that region? Let's not do any thinking about that. Let's just move on.
At which point you lose me, because at that point you have to make me buy into a theory that the American government, the CIA, plotted and planned the mass murder of thousands of its own citizens so they could go to war. And I say to you that is...
Hey, weren't some Mossad agents like caught celebrating 9/11 and they admitted they had prior knowledge? How do they have prior knowledge and our greatest ally didn't tell us about it? So even if they weren't involved, they're kind of still involved because they knew and didn't tell their greatest friend. The only people that still like entertain them for some strange reason. So,
complete insanity for which there is zero evidence that is ever the case.
Well, I say to you that you're very welcome to your opinion.
It's not an opinion, it's a fact.
Here you go. There's Piers doing his normal thing. He says something and then says it's a fact. You've no idea whether it's a fact or not. What you seem to be refusing to accept is that Matt Campbell, and I am correct, in demanding of the Attorney General in the UK that there is an investigation into it. Now, if this inquest into the death of Jeff Campbell leads to a similar investigation in the United States, which I very much doubt it will, but I hope it does, then we, the people, not just of England or the United States, but of the world, may get to the truth of what actually happened. I believe that those buildings were destroyed by a controlled demolition. All the evidence of our eyes and the laws of physics points to the probability that you were wrong.
Well, unfortunately, my eyes do not point to that. My eyes pointed to two.
Idiot.
Well, I was watching it live at the time when I watched two planes crashing into the World Trade Center. I was lying on a sofa recovering.
Hey, how'd that third building fall down? How'd that one fall down like hours later?
from back surgery to happen and saw it all happen in real time. So I think you're talking complete gobbledygook. And my problem with that is, whilst I understand why Matt wants to find answers for his brother, and I would want the same if it was my brother, in your case, I think there's a slightly more insidious reason why you're bankrolling him. I think because of your long history of attacking the American government and the CIA and your huge number of conspiracies that you like to air about what they have and haven't done. And I'm not claiming for a moment either is perfect.
Oh, poor CIA. Aw. Take up for him, Piers, bootlicker.
But you want me to believe, unless I'm misunderstanding what you said on the record before, that the American government, stroke CIA, plotted to blow up with explosives the World Trade Center and the buildings around it and use the planes as some kind of cover-up for it, having recruited a bunch of jihadists from Al-Qaeda, right, to do the plane part of it, so that would cover up the fact that they'd actually planted loads of explosives at lower levels of these buildings, which is the real reason they came down. At which point, I say, bullshit.
Yeah, Piers, you're absolutely right. It's crazy to think that a government that would also engineer and release a virus on its own population just to get its own devious shit to happen, right? It's so hard to believe that a government that would do that wouldn't also do that. Let's not even look into it. Let's not look into it, right? That's all these guys are asking for. Let's look into it. And Piers calls it all bullshit. Because you don't want to look into it. You know where it goes. You know who's guilty.
Piers, you're well known for being a moron, so you don't have to explain.
One of us is definitely well known for being a moron. He espouse conspiracy theories.
Let me ask you this, Piers, and I've asked you it before. I'm going to say it again. Should there be an investigation into how the World Trade Center buildings 1, 2, and 7 came down or not? Yes, there should, I say. What do you say?
There have been numerous investigations into the
No, they haven't.
There have been numerous investigations into
Nothing
everything
legal.
that happened on 9/11. You just refused to even acknowledge it, which is extraordinary. You think no one's investigated what happened on the biggest terror attack in the history of America?
I'm sure many, many thousands of people have been involved in investigations of it. What I'm saying is that none of it has been heard in public, where evidence has been given before a serious congregation of legal minds to say, all right, let's find out what happened. Everybody with half an ounce of sense knows that neither Building 1 nor Building 2 nor Building 7 fell down because there were fires caused by aviation fuel.
All right, who ordered this? Let's go with your theory. Who ordered this? Was it President Bush?
Yeah.
Was it President Bush?
How would you expect me to guess?
Don't be so cowardly. If you have a theory that people did this deliberately, who was it?
The most obvious culprit, and I don't believe this to be true, by the way, in case he gets upset, is the guy who collected billions and billions of dollars in insurance money the next day and didn't go into work that day in his office. And I've forgotten his name now.
Silverstein.
But the whole thing is, that's a crazy
Well, you're
story.
talking about Howard Lutnick. Well, hang on. I know who you're talking about.
You're talking about Silverstein.
I know who you're talking about. His name is Howard Lutnick. He's in the United States government now. He's part of the cabinet with Donald Trump. He lost his brother that day. Well, hang on. He lost his brother that day and many hundreds of his employees at Cantor Fitzgerald. He then worked tirelessly to get the families of those who had died proper compensation and got them millions each in compensation. In terms of his work with what happened on 9/11, he was an absolute hero. For you to casually throw that out as some suggestion that because he claimed insurance money, having lost his brother, and I think 700 employees, well, I don't know why you're laughing, that somehow that makes him obviously guilty of some kind of complicity in causing this to happen.
Good point, Piers. Let's not look into it. Good point. All they're asking to do is look into it. You're asking all these other questions. He's allowed to have that opinion. I think it's some of the things that went on with 9/11 are suspicious too. Am I allowed to think that and still want to investigate it? Yeah. Okay, cool. Debate over. Like Mr. Waters here said earlier, debate is over. Like, if you're agreeing with doing the investigation, that's all we're saying. He's trying to find a way to demonize them in spite of the fact that he says he's for the investigation. If you are, then why are you demonizing them?
It's
I didn't
utterly
say that.
disgusting.
I have no
No,
idea
you
whether he
did.
had
You did your normal Roger Waters thing.
No,
you
I
just
didn't.
you just threw it out there.
No.
Who is
You're
that
just-
guy that made billions from insurance? Oh, yeah. Well, I happen to know who you're talking about. So I won't let you smear him in absentia.
Yeah, don't smear the guy that was on Epstein Island, who lied to us all and told us he wasn't on Epstein Island. You can't smear that guy. You know, he's in the upper class that gets to go to Epstein Island. You can't talk that way about people like that. Not on the Piers Morgan show. Nuh-uh. We have to pretend like those are upstanding citizens, you know, because we live in the Matrix with Piers.
Because actually what you just said, it was disgusting. And you know it. You've no evidence
think it was him,
whatsoever.
I don't think it was him. I think it was.
Well, who are you talking about?
I've no idea.
No, I know. So
that's
why do you
we
say
need
things?
investigation.
Why do you say
What
things
we
when you
know is-
clearly have no idea?
We know it wasn't caused by Mohammed Atta and his mates, all 15 of them.
No,
who
we
are the
literally do know that's how it was caused.
No, we know that's not how.
No.
Well, they did find us, one of their passports in the street when they were going to 9/11. So they had to be part of it, because those really do fall out of airplanes where the entire building falls down. But that passport, it somehow levitated through the burning fire of the airplane to the ground for someone to find. Because, in New York, there's not a lot of litter or anything. I'm sure they were looking for passports. Whenever airplanes hit buildings, passports just fly out the ass of them. That's what the black box is made out of. That's why they didn't burn. I got it all figured out.
That is how it was caused.
Well, there you go. Let's have an agreement to disagree.
Right.
I'm supporting Matt Campbell,
Yeah.
and yes, I've given him a few quid, so that to give him a proper legal team to persuade the Attorney General to grant Matt Campbell his right to have an inquest into the death of his brother.
Well, let me bring Matt back in here. So, Matt, look, I don't know you. Roger and I have locked horns numerous times. And this is entirely in keeping with the tone of our previous encounters. That's fine. I don't mind robust debate. My concern about your situation is, on a human emotional level, I completely understand your burning desire to get answers about what happened to your brother. I would feel the same. I have two brothers. My problem is, I think that Roger is not quite the knight in shining armor that you may think he is, because I do think he operates from a clear conspiracy theory perspective.
You heard him. Hand the money back. Hand the money back. Lose your investigation because Roger Waters thinks some things Piers disagrees with. Good way to look at that, Piers. That's smart.
That the American government were behind what happened on 9/11. And my concern for you is that he might be using you in some way. Are you concerned about that?
I mean, Roger's not using me. To get where I've got today, which is a live case at the Supreme Court, it's taken
My Venmo's open. Use me that way, Roger Waters.
a lot of money, and that's come from all areas, the public, private donors, etc. Because it's not cheap doing litigation, particularly things like judicial review, and then obviously the Supreme Court. I mean, to your point about there being an investigation, what I am concerned about is my brother, in his original inquest that he had in 2013, I've seen what was put in front of the coroner. There was no investigation whatsoever into what caused his death, how he came about his death. Obviously, all the evidence that has been amassed over the years, what wasn't put in front of the coroner, has been put into the application to the Attorney General. And all I want is for that evidence to make its way into a coroner's court and for it to be tested under oath.
I understand that. I mean,